What's up, my Nintendo crew? My name is Nintendo Station, and today I'm going to take a break of what I originally do on my channel and move to something that will help me expand my channel even more, like talk about stuff. Like, I know I do talk about stuff a little bit. Like, I already talked about how Violet First was fake, I already talked about the N64 Classic, but today I want to talk about something different. So, we all know about the release of the PlayStation Classic, and you know how I already ranted about it, but I ranted about it when there was only a few games on the system. So hold on, I'll be right back. This is a Sony PlayStation 1, or PSX as its codename. It was a massive hit for Sony, and the reason why they're in the video game business. I'm not going to give the story of the PlayStation, but if you want me to give you my side of the story of the PlayStation, leave in the comments below. I already know the whole story, and you probably know it too. But yeah, the PlayStation 1 was a massive hit. It had a great library of games, had wonderful graphics, and the graphics were probably even better than the Nintendo 64 because this was a CD-based game. It had amazing graphical capabilities. But, thing is, the PlayStation Classic, we all know this thing runs off of AV or RF, while the PlayStation Classic is only locked in HDMI. I'm not complaining. We're all like used to HDMI systems these days that we don't even use AV. But I still prefer to use my retro consoles more than my modern systems. Like literally, I've been playing Final Fantasy VII for a long time now. But one thing I want to talk about is like how the PlayStation Classic is most likely going to fail. And you may be wondering, how is it going to fail? The regular PlayStation was the biggest console of the era. Well, keep in mind, it had great games on it, but the PlayStation Classic has built-in games that barely define the PlayStation 1 at all. There are some good games, like Rayman, Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil, and maybe Grand Theft Auto, but that's not really like a good game for me. I would prefer GTA 5. The Grand Theft Auto on the PlayStation was before Rockstar purchased the rights to make it their own. But I want to talk about like this horrible stuff. So number one, the rest of the library is awful. It does not have good games on it. Like, where are the games that help define it? Like, where is the good stuff? Like, they could add Final Fantasy VIII, Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. They could add Tomb Raider. They could add some Tomb Raider games. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. But we definitely do not want Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. Oh my god, that was awful. Basically, what I'm saying is, it barely has games that define the PlayStation at all. Less than half of them do. And there's 20 games on the platform. So, why? Like, Sony was in such a rush to have it out before Christmas that they just mismatched a bunch of games that they could find. Of course, there are licensing problems. Konami, I don't even think Konami allowed. But wait, what am I talking about? Licensing problems? Like, Konami would allow it, because ching. But thing is, like the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic had third-party games. But thing is, they were all good games, while the PlayStation Classic is just And you may be wondering, what about the Sega Genesis Classic? It barely has any good games on it. We can forgive the Sega Genesis Classic because it can actually take in cartridges. Add games who made the Sega Genesis Classic because Sega quit the hardware business and said they make software. Add games made it so you can put in physical cartridges, which is great. But thing is, the PlayStation, just awful. Another thing I want to talk about the games, is the region. What was Sony thinking when they decided to have half of the PlayStation games run off PAL? See, in the US, we run off of a platform called NTSC. And it's faster than PAL, which is in other regions, mainly in Europe. But we run off NTSC, which is a different format. So the games are running pretty slow. Like, did it change anything with the speed? I don't think it changed anything with the speed of the production of the PlayStation Classic. It was just awful. So expect a lot of slowdowns. Like, I have no idea what games run off it, but I heard of an article that said, like, Sony admitted the fact that the games are going to be slow because they run off of PAL. Like, I understand it's going to be, like, released in Europe, US, Japan, and all the other regions. But did you really think it was a good idea to, like, make half and half, one half NTSC, one half PAL? How about PAL for its PAL regions and NTSC for its NTSC regions? Like, why? So, another thing I want to talk about is the video quality. I have no idea what happened in the production when they were trying to use an HDMI cable. Now, I'm not going to give like a side-by-side comparison, but if you want, I'll do that in a separate video. When it comes to like the PlayStation Classic, but I'm not an expert when it comes to like to do side-by-side comparisons because that's really difficult. That takes time. But I can like grab like videos and stuff, like get a few shots of video in for my composite signals and just transfer it there, and I'll do a side-by-side comparison of component and HDMI. Well, like, component and HDMI are technically the same in video quality. It's just the audio quality that's different. So there's pretty much like no difference. But the thing is, I took a look of Final Fantasy VII on my PS3, and the quality was better than the PlayStation Classic. We live in the year 2018, and the PS3 was around 2006. 12 years of innovation. Like, what? What happened? My PS3 can go up to a 1080i. While the PlayStation Classic looks like it only runs at 720p or 1080p. Barely. It still looks like it's at between 480 and 720. So, I don't know what they were thinking. So, don't get mad at me. Don't go in the comments and say, oh my god, you hate Sony's PlayStation Classic. How dare you? I'm a fan of the PlayStation. Like, I'm called Nintendo Station now because, like, after all the name changes and stuff. But my permanent name is now Nintendo Station because Nintendo and Sony, well, PlayStation, are like my favorite video game products. I literally own all of them except for the Super Nintendo because, like, I'm getting that for Christmas. Well, I own the Super Nintendo Classic. But if anything, I own pretty much every up-to-date version. I pretty much own every console made by a company. And if you're going to say you don't own the Famicom, just be quiet. Famicom and NES are the same thing. I don't own a Famicom or a Super Famicom. They're the exact same thing as the North American versions. Of course, it's like leaving out exclusive stuff, but I don't care. But yeah, if anything, so I've gone on this video long enough. Basically, what I want to say is, Sony should like temporarily, not permanently, temporarily discontinue the PlayStation Classic and work on a better library of games that will make the PlayStation Classic better. Because I believe if Sony does a redesign of the PlayStation Classic, they could make twice the amount as the original PlayStation 1 right here. They could make double, perhaps triple. Because, like, it's a bunch of great games. There's literally a ton of great games on this platform. More than 20. So, yeah, basically, Sony, please do a redesign and have a better library of games. At least go up to 1080p, because it looks like composite. Well, like, of course, it's like, it may be HDMI, but it's not sharp. Like, the pixels on the screen are not sharp. They like have that composite look to it. I know, like, I shouldn't be saying it because I don't own it. I need to experience it myself. But my computer, I like looked up YouTube videos in 1080p format, and it doesn't look as good. I've seen Final Fantasy VII videos more high definition than that. So yeah, please don't spam hate comments. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings about your thoughts of the PlayStation Classic. I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to give my opinion on what the PlayStation Classic needs. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you agree, please drop a like, and if you're new, please subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out, my Nintendo crew.